I love slasher movies, especially the Friday the 13th franchise, and today I wanted to talk about a very particular film that Mr. Voorhees has ever been in, because I feel that this film is easily the best Friday the 13th movie, and I don't see a lot of people talk about it, that being the 2009 reboot of Friday the 13th. I adore this film, and I want to talk about what makes this such a unique movie to me compared to every other Jason movie out there. The movie is set years after the original, so Mrs. Voorhees is long gone, but I love how they set up the origin of Camp Crystal Lake. The scene opening with Mrs. Voorhees trying to kill one of the counselors before getting brutally murdered is executed almost perfectly, and I absolutely love the lighting of that scene. But I will say, I just enjoy the cinematography of this movie in general. It's not just specific themes. The movie kind of has a dirty and grungy thing going on, but it also has very nightly atmosphere in a lot of scenes. I really enjoy it. The movie begins with a bunch of teenagers messing around at Crystal Lake, and eventually Jason just decides to take them all out. And I absolutely love how this scene plays out, because I'm gonna be honest with you, pretty much all of them are unlikable, and the build-up to their demise is handled very well. It doesn't happen right away, but it's also not super slow either. I love it. And only one of them survives for a very specific reason. The reason being she happens to look a lot like Jason's mother, so he decides to just keep her prisoner, which I think is such an interesting concept. It's then revealed years later that Sam from Supernatural, if you've seen that show, is looking for his sister, the sister being the girl who got kidnapped by Jason, while pretty much all of her friends are dead. While this is happening though, a new group of teenagers is introduced, and they're just trying to have a party out in the woods at this rich boy's cabin, and all of them are pretty unlikable. The only characters I really care for are the jokey dudes that are just messing around with the rich guy, just pretty much picking on him for being kind of an asshole. And then the rich guy's girlfriend, who for some reason just instantly starts simping for Sam. Like, it's just kind of weird. It comes out of nowhere. But I guess it's kind of explained because her boyfriend is kind of, well, a jerk, so she just decides to go with him instead, but it's still pretty strange. I also think this movie does a decent job at its world building because we get to see Sam ask the locals around town about where his sister could be. A cop just ends up not helping him and just basically telling him that, yeah, your sister's probably dead, go home, kid. But then he asks an old woman who's very creepy and just says he didn't want to be bothered, leave him alone, don't go to Camp Crystal Lake. And he's like, who is he? And she never answers, which we all know who she is referring to, but having the main character not know what he's going up against is pretty frickin' terrifying. We also get some really fun and cool scenes with Jason himself, particularly one at a barn where he basically just tracks down this guy, has a bit of a fight with him, kills him, and gets his iconic hockey mask for the first time, which I think is pretty fun stuff. Eventually, the house party starts, and it just gets progressively worse from there. Sam tries to keep finding his sister. He eventually does find where she could be at, and, let's just say it doesn't go well. Jason gets progressively more aggressive throughout the film, which I really enjoy, and it all culminates in this very awesome scene where he just picks off each of the teenagers one by one, while Sam and the weird girl try to escape and save the sister and just get the hell out of there. And I absolutely adore it. I think Sam actually does put up a good fight against Jason, but in the end, everyone kind of loses, all because of the typical slasher dumb decisions. Because they decide to kill Jason, which they actually end up doing. They do kill him in a really cool way, but this is Jason. We know he's not dead. Then they take his body, dump it in the lake, which was a stupid decision because as they're walking away, his sister gets completely dragged underneath the boardwalk, which is really sad because it's basically just implying that both of them died, but at the same time, it is kind of cool seeing Jason just win in his own movie. In my opinion, I think this is a damn fun Jason movie. It's not like the best horror movie you're ever gonna see. Hell, it's not even the best reboot you'll see, but overall, I think it's a decent time. And if you're looking for a Friday the 13th movie but don't really know which one to watch, then I'd recommend this one. I mean, that and the original, but I feel like this one is probably the best quality-wise. Also, it goes without saying, but every kill in this movie is absolutely incredible. The practical effects were amazing. I love the kills in these movies. They were both terrifying and brutal, but also strangely gratifying to watch Jason just use his raw strength on people. It's really cool. And that's my thoughts overall on Friday the 13th, 2009. I'll probably talk about more horror movies and some horror games too. So let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll see you in my next project.